Hi, my name's Pharaoh, and today you find me in my Omega save. This was the save I used for the expedition, but I've continued it. I thought I would use this save to demonstrate how the Amiga update has introduced what I consider to be a major quality of life improvement that I haven't seen many people talking about. And that is how they have fixed things like this particular oxygen harvester here, the antimatter reactor, and also the autonomous mining units. Basically, what I mean by fixed is it used to be the case that whenever we put. Actually, let's just take that out of there. Whenever we put some condensed carbon into these things, they would grind away, but we'd have to nurse them, and even then, sometimes things would just disappear. But at the moment, we can keep going back in, and it's reliably making sodium. And I can do this more than once on each of these resources. And I can come back to these at any stage and they will have some sodium in them. As you saw, I must have picked some up previously, and I've come back to this save after playing my main save for ages, and it was still had some sodium in there. And I can now happily warp away from here. I can use the teleporter. Hang on, teleporter's down here now. I moved it, trying to save some energy. I can happily go to a different base. Now, I've also done this for some dioxide, so I'll go to that base and demonstrate further. These resources, like dioxide, are incredibly useful for recharging things. Dioxide can be used for recharging our cold modules, for instance, and also life support. And this can be more efficient than other methods. So it's always handy to have at least some dioxide on us at all times. And this is a very quick and easy way for the expense of a few carbon or condensed carbon to always have some dioxide on hand. And we just need to come back to this base occasionally. As you can see, I'm getting 250 every time I return to this base for each one of these I place down on it. So these have now become incredibly useful. They no longer need nursing. We can just warp to a base and pick them up. Another thing I did in this particular save, let's just activate this, is I set up some nitrogen in the atmosphere harvesters. Now I'll probably go into why I would bother to harvest nitrogen another time in a different video, but it just goes to show that these things are working. We can return to them, we don't need to nurse them, and we can collect resources from them freely whenever we go back to our bases. So next time I come back, I'll be able to pick up another 750 nitrogen. So let's return to our main base. So each time I return to this base, I can get a full stack of oxygen. Well, a full stack for this particular technology, 250. And I can get 20 antimatter. And over there we have our sodium being generated. I've now time jumped so that we can show that they are now full. And so again, we're getting 750 sodium each time we come back to this base after going away for a bit. And we can set that up each time by putting the requisite amount of condensed carbon or carbon into them. Condensed carbon will obviously be slightly more efficient, but then you do have to get that condensed carbon. Now ignore the fact that I've positioned my oxygen harvester on paving. I've glitched that there for tidiness sake. They're a bit fussy about where you place them. If I go to the oxygen harvester, you can see I can't place it on paving, and I can't place it anywhere in a base, really. You can only place them on the ground, and even then it seems to be quite fussy about where you place them on the ground. I have to get away from some of the building parts in order to place them, and I'm not sure exactly what the issue is there, but as long as they're working I don't really mind. And in an early save, if you're not really glitching, you could just place them near your base and build up a supply of oxygen. Now you'll notice that they're not cheap to build. You do have to start gathering resources, so you need some metal plating, so you'd need to be gathering some ferrite dust. You need life support gel, so you'd need to be gathering dihydrogen and carbon, and you need dihydrogen jelly, so you would need to be gathering some dihydrogen. But relatively early on in a save you can start to pull those things together and crafting the life support gel, etc. And then you can start building these, and then you never really look back because you've already built them. You never need to build them again, and you can just start building more than one if you need more oxygen. So where do we get these particular technologies from? Well, they are part of the normal base building missions, and they have been for some time, but we've tended to ignore them because they're just not very effective. They've always needed nursing. You'd walk away from them, come back, and there'd be no more carbon, and it wouldn't be extracting oxygen. And the same thing would happen on your mining resources. You would walk away, come back, and oh, there's no dioxide and there's not even any fuel in there. Now I would suggest that these are so valuable that it's worth going to get them very early on in the save, and we would get them at the anomaly. And these parts are available in the technology modules. So most of the technology in this route from here to here to here to here to here is actually quite cheap. If you don't already have a save beacon, that costs 1 salvage. Base teleport costs 2. The oxygen harvester costs 1. The autonomous mining unit costs 1. And the atmosphere harvester costs 1. So for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 salvage data, you can start beating the grind on any save. So to clarify, the oxygen harvester is great for getting oxygen in early game, because oxygen is one of those things that can be quite scarce. The autonomous mining unit can mine any resource that you find on a planet. The ones that I would recommend grabbing would be the biome resources like uranium, paraffinium, etc. In fact, if I show you on my save, I always collect each of them. So I've got dioxide, ammonia, phosphorus, uranium, paraffinium and pyrite, and they can be used for replenishing our technologies. And things like paraffinium can be used with exocrafts. Pyrite can be used instead of tritium for our ships. And in general, all of these things can be very handy. And all we need to do to start building up those resources is put down an autonomous mining unit here and there, maybe a few extra on the things that we really want, like dioxide. Plop down the oxygen harvester anywhere, at any base, so you can start replenishing your oxygen. And then for a more advanced save, especially when we have a large refiner, the atmosphere harvesters can come in useful too. So there you go. That's one way of beating the grind, since the quality of life improvement made during the Amiga update that has gone a little bit under the radar. I've been Pharaoh, travel well, and goodbye for now.